Hello and welcome to the next episode of Two Girls Talk Transit. Today we're reviewing the astrology from August 17th through August 23rd, 2025, and we're your host. I'm Maddie.
And I'm Kaylee.
And welcome back. In a nice turn of events, we're going to start out this week with the same exact aspect that we left off of last week.
Whoops.
And
Hold on. Oopsie.
I'll
This one.
I'll just repeat that.
Okay.
And then in a turn of events, we're going to start off this week with the same exact aspect as we ended last week. And then it's not a typo, it's just the way the planets are moving right now. But Mercury is going to come in sextile Mars and Libra. So last week it was technically Mars going and sextiling Mercury because Mercury was stationary and is about to station direct. Now Mercury obviously moves faster than Mars, and this time is coming up again to sextile it for a second time. So
Hmm.
you what you're looking at is from that like Thursday, the 14th, all the way through like the 17th, which is Sunday, is Mercury and Mars in a sextile.
Yeah, they're having big conversations for an extended period of time.
Right. I have like not seen this happen. Like it's not a surprise that it happened, but I have not like seen this happen. So I think it's gonna be really interesting. It's like it's really just kind of ramping up Mercury a lot and like Mars too, like maybe just feeling really propelled to be taking some action or like using whatever ideas that you were kind of working through personally through that Mercury retrograde. And now you're like actually jumping forward and ready to make a change onto something or like just cut away from something or like really initiate a new change into your life. I don't know. It's just interesting. It's so extended. Usually this aspect is like an hour or like a day, and then you
Hmm.
move on. But no, we get like 4 days of this.
Yeah. So I feel like there's two ways that we could kind of interpret like where is the change happening. So I
Mhm.
feel like it could happen where Mars is sitting, like where we're wanting to take action, or it could also happen in like what places in your chart Mercury rules. So there might be like kind of some cross conversation, like let me think, like my chart's obviously the easiest for me to pull from because like it's top of mind, but so Mars is in my sixth right now, and then my Mercury ruled houses are my fifth and my second. So it could be like something related to my work. I want to make changes, so that it essentially changes my finances or changes how I have fun in some way related to the fifth. Or something to do with like fifth house. It could be a lot of things, like how I hang out with my daughter, or just different things like that. um so there is a big conversation, I think, happening between those three houses. And I think that you could probably like look at your own chart and extract and see, like how are these themes coming up? Do you think it's relating to your chart anyway, Maddie? Like, could you pull up how maybe those conversations are happening?
Yeah, I could see it. I could see it in both the Mercury ruled houses and the Mars ruled houses. So like
Mm,
I'm spending a lot of money and that would be like Mars interacting with Mercury. Mercury rules my money too, and I've been having
hmm.
to spend a lot of money. But then I've also been making a little bit more money than I usually do this month, which would be Mars ruling like my midheaven. And
Hmm.
then like, there's just like I could see both, but it is like an overall experience of it is just like increased activity of those two planets. Like whatever Mercury represents a lot in your chart, like for you, it is a lot about your money and your work because Mercury's in your 10th, so like that's very big
Right.
for you.
Yeah.
So like that's why it often relates to your money instead of like your fifth house, which is children. Like I feel like whenever we talk about Mercury with you, it's like always like more about that, is it not?
More about what?
Like
Like,
money versus children, the fifth house.
I don't know because like money has been so closely tied to children actually because I have
Right.
always worked like with children actually, like it's like the
Yeah.
you can run but you can't hide situation. So I don't know, they kind of are like work
When they're merged in
simultaneously.
your 10th
Yeah.
house.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
yeah.
But I don't remember where I was gonna go with all that, but it's just like wherever, like I guess in your own chart, if you have a relationship with your Mercury, like if it's in your first house, and generally it's more about the way that you present yourself or perceive yourself or like broadcast yourself, that's
Mm-hmm.
getting activated by Mars, and there's probably some sort of change from the way that you are like presenting yourself, or like if it is related to your 10th house, and then maybe around money and work. So I just think like all of those pieces are just kind of being highlighted by it. Like Mars is just really kind of pushing it to do more, like big ideas, make a
Mm.
change, cut through something, wherever that is, like for you personally.
Yeah, and you had also mentioned, you actually had mentioned this on the TikTok that we have a lot of energy in cardinal signs, like pushing us to
Yeah.
like start things and make a change. And I was thinking like that's so relevant, you know? There's just big conversations happening and like, us really wanting to like push towards action and shift things.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's almost like with Mercury being in the fixed sign of Leo, it's like you get all these ideas to start something and you're like, okay, but I actually got to make a like bigger change. Fixed signs like a piece of you that doesn't normally change. Like you
Mm-hmm.
actually need to make a bigger change. And that is this whole weekend where you're like, should I do it? Should I not? Like fixed signs really drag their feet on that. So I wonder if that's like something too, like a change that you normally wouldn't make if it was like a 1 day thing, that you do make a really like long lasting definitive change in your life.
Hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. Fixed signs definitely contemplate for the longest.
Will you like quit your job? So like there's an example there. That's like a definitive change.
Yeah, I did quit my job and I never do that. Like I literally
Right.
just suffer. Yeah. I never like I feel like I text you all the time. I'm like, I'm quitting and I never do. And like I
Then you're like, I just quit. I was like, oh
I
wow.
know. I was actually thinking like did Maddie actually I wonder if she even is gonna take me seriously. But yeah, like anyways, yeah, I never do that, but it was like a big definitely Mars moment.
Right. So like I think that's kind of what we can look forward, maybe not look forward to, but what we can look to as like what this aspect is speaking is like, because it's so long, such stretched out over a couple days, is like when you do actually make a bigger change that you normally wouldn't have.
Yeah, yeah,
I
I
don't
can
know.
absolutely see that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So
Cool. So that's yeah, gonna be a couple day conversation. A carryover from last week. And then we
yeah.
have the moon. So I guess we don't have any aspects then from like the 18th to the 22nd. We just have like the moon having some conversation. So I'm just gonna bump it up a day. Actually, I'm gonna do 2 days. Not to change the hours, but we have the moon in Cancer here. Um, so obviously, the moon is happy here in its home space, and it's going to be coming up on a conjunction with Jupiter and Venus. So
Yeah, on like that Wednesday.
on that Wednesday, yeah. This is actually my daughter's birthday is coming up, and this is in her solar return chart, this combination of the moon,
What a
Ju
lucky child.
I know, Jupiter and Venus. So yeah, this is a really good, I feel like if, the Jupiter Venus conjunction that just happened the week, was it, what will it be at this point? Like, yeah, a week prior, 7 or 8 days prior. If that wasn't what maybe you had expected, I think that bringing the moon into play here is going to like sweeten things up a little bit more. Just because the moon, like Cancer is ruled by the moon. So, she just really is bringing in, I think, a little bit like sweeter emotional feelings as it relates to that area of our chart. Yeah, what do you think, Maddie?
Yeah, I mean that's why I included it for like the entire work week this week, through literally the Monday through the like Friday, is that we didn't have any other like outer or any other planetary interactions except for just the moon. But I did think the moon coming into Cancer, which starts on that Monday and then lasts until Wednesday evening, is like a just a really beautiful moment. Like I said, I the Jupiter Venus conjunction I just feel like it's going to be much louder when the moon is there. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know if it was that impactful, especially as we were like having the moon in Pisces or in Aries. Like, maybe in Pisces is a little bit better, but or the moon exactly in Cancer, like, that's just going to be the best. And we're not going to get this again because by the time in 28 days later, Venus will have moved on into Leo. So it is like this really beautiful, like 3 day moment. Like, I wouldn't be like trying to do anything with it. I would just be trying to enjoy it, I think would be my,
Yeah, and I
yeah.
think that the a big thing here too is like when we had that Jupiter Venus conjunction like the week prior, Saturn and Mars were very close in a very close
Yeah.
opposition to each other. And by this point, those energies will have like backed away from each other enough to where, that won't be like a huge experience. So I think we'll be able to like rest more into this moon that's here, which is
Right.
which is good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a moment where you're really gonna feel it and like, again, what do you nurture? What do you take care of with your body? What is going well for you? And just enjoy it. And like I think my advice, because like I feel like with the Venus Jupiter conjunction kept that like I should do something, but I think a lot of it is just like, no, this is just a really good time to rest. Like,
I know. I was thinking about that too. I was thinking like dang, I could have like done something with like an electoral chart or something, like started something or like,
but
but I
you
just
really
didn't.
couldn't because
Yeah.
you have Mars and Libra and Saturn and Aries. Like,
I know, yeah, and that also was like coming into the picture. So, yeah, even as much as you wanted to start something, you had that like those setbacks. So, yeah, I think like you mentioned, it's probably better to just experience it, enjoy it, and like rest into the comforts. Cancer is very comforting. Cancer is like it's said a lot of the time that a lot of therapists are cancers because they want to like
mm,
emotionally soothe you. So
I
that's very much what I see like this moon Venus Jupiter conjunction coming out like it's the universe or, some higher powers um attempt to soothe us in some way.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think so. I think it's gonna be like it's just a couple days or it's just a moment where you can just relax and like, also the moon last piece is, it's that last corner. It's almost balsamic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna add up all the degrees, but it's close. Like again, that's the end of the cycle and it's time to like rest and like integrate and like just do less with this because the energy is going to ramp up a lot on later this week and then into September when we get to eclipse season. So like let's just pause for a moment.
Shall we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right. Please, please, administration, hear us take a breath for a moment. Jeez. Um, so, but by the 22nd on the Friday is when the sun will enter into Virgo, and that will
I gotta
happen
move it up
late.
a couple. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be like really late in the evening on that Friday on the 22nd. Um, but that is our new season, and it does officially kick off eclipse season actually, because at least like from Hellenistic standpoint, when the sun enters the same sign or in yes, the same sign as one of the nodes, then that's like official eclipse season kind of starting. We're not quite there yet, but we are like starting to get little pieces of it. And Virgo season is sort of the mutable sign going into fall. So it's like the harvest, and it's just about kind of reaping your efforts or organizing your life, getting cleaned up on things, and like celebrating what has worked for you in the summer and getting ready to kind of get life cleaned up so that it gets colder. That's like the tropical significations of Virgo. But, I like this because we've been dealing with like no earth energy. And I
Mm-hmm.
do think like Virgo is probably like the least earth sign. you know it's like it's a little more airy, but
Yeah.
it's still an earth sign, so like I do feel like it's going to help us like just slow down a little bit and be a little more practical. But how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I also agree with you. I think it'll be nice to invite some earth energy in. I kind of like I don't like too much earth energy because I kind of feel like a
No.
turtle at that point, but like just a little bit, I think it'll be good. I don't know. I'm not particularly a huge fan of Virgo energy just because it's opposite. Like I'm Pisces, so it's like all opposite a lot of my planets. But
Right.
nonetheless, Virgo ruled by Mercury, we just have a good opportunity, like Maddie said, to like clean things up, organize them. Maybe you make plans for the fall in some way. Could be a really good time to organize your space, especially as it relates to work and like kind of coming down to those final details. Um, I think too, it might also be interesting to mention that Virgo, the archetype of Virgo can kind of be seen as the helper sometimes.
Mm.
So if you're needing help in any area of your life or like assistance, or you're wanting to like um, maybe like add people to your team to like take the load off of you, the sun in Virgo, I think would be like a good invitation to do that, to like, maybe get people to assist you in some way or support you so that you can achieve bigger goals. It's like managing the smaller tasks so you can do larger tasks. Yeah, but other than
Yeah,
that, go ahead.
no, say that's a good point. And like the other piece to that in a way is like it kind of relates to the Mercury retrograde that we just had in Leo, like Mercury ruling the sun now back in Leo. Those two are in this mutual reception. Like they can't really see each other, but they're in each other's signs, so they're still able to assist each other. And it's
Yeah.
almost like what conceptions of yourself or what understandings of your authenticity, your identity, or yourself did Mercury retrograde uncover? And now what material changes, like what actual physical material manifestations and changes are you going to make to support your new sense of self or your new goals or like whatever is coming up that you are like really wanting, again, like from the Mercury sextile Mars, to like take an action or make a change on. Now it's like I feel like going into Virgo season is when it really materializes and manifests.
Yeah, that's interesting because definitely like the sun in Leo is very like self, like how do I change my perception of self, or like, like what can I do to like change how people see me in some way? So yeah, definitely like
Right.
moving into Virgo, I would say would definitely
Well, it'd be
solidify
like,
that. Huh?
yeah, it would be like, it would just be like, okay, well, I see myself as an artist now, you know? So that's my new identity from the Mercury retrograde and Leo. And
Mhm.
I'm very passionate about art and I want to express that to people. Well, then the sun moves into Virgo and you're like, now I'm going to go buy an easel. I'm going to buy some canvases. I'm actually going to paint or I'm actually going to do pottery or whatever. Like you're going to materialize it. Like I've talked about this before, but I feel like a lot of people don't really grasp it. It's like nothing materializes in air, in fire, or in water. Those are all internal states of being.
Yeah.
The only thing that materializes is in earth signs. So
Hmm.
like, fire is our passion and our identity and our like expression. Water is our emotion and air is our ideas. Those things aren't, they're just up here in our head. But then we actually take them and move them to something physical. That's when it becomes earth, you
Yeah.
know?
And then we can have the conversation of like, what does this archetype that I've selected, what do they do? Yeah. And then
Right.
doing those things. Yeah, definitely. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
could I could definitely see that. Well, happy Virgo season. The last thing that we have, did you want to mention anything else about that, Maddie, before I move on?
No, go ahead.
Okay. The last thing that I have, sorry, I'm just trying to decide how I want to switch it over.
Probably hours, because it's like, I
I
guess
know
that's
that's what
fine
I
too.
was thinking, and then I'll move it back. So we have a new moon in Virgo happening, and it's happening at 0 degrees. So,
Yeah.
yep,
Right
very
after the
early.
sun enters. Yeah.
Yeah, right after the sun enters, we have a prominent square. We're just a little bit off, but we do still have that active square to Uranus. And both Virgo, the moon in Virgo, and Uranus are being ruled by that Mercury in Leo. So we're roping that into the conversation a little bit more. So With this new moon in Virgo that we were just talking about like the sun moving in here and then we have the moon, coming and meeting it, a couple hours later. I feel like, whatever we decide to do, there is just like some kind of disruption or change that comes along with that we didn't necessarily expect to come out. And it could kind of just like throw those plans off balance in some way. Like, we immediately try to materialize and it's like, oh, we can't get the supplies that we need, or, just something comes in that kind of like throws a wrench in our plan that's maybe needing us to, you know, develop a new idea or change the way that we perceive it, or like there's some kind of alteration maybe that needs to happen in the plan before we execute the plan, if that makes sense. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think Uranus is going to bring a disruption to your plan, to your goals. I also think that Uranus is also going to like hyper speed it up a bit.
Oh,
Like
you think so? Like make it
I
happen so fast that you're like, whoa.
yeah,
Yeah.
I just feel like that's like natally like Uranus and Gemini, or not, it's not natal, but you know what I'm saying? Like that's like inherently Uranus and Gemini is like way moving way faster. Like I don't know, I just feel like the lunar aspects to Uranus have been like really sudden quick changes to things that I like wasn't really necessarily expecting. And then like it's squaring the sun and moon, and it's almost like, again, they're both ruled by Mercury. Mercury's trying its best to help both of these planets, right? And so like you get this new intention. The new moon's always a new intention about what you want to materialize in your life, what you want to like solidify, what you want to organize, clean up. And then Uranus is like, oh yeah, okay, now you got to do it in 2 days. Or like if you don't get it in 2 days, something's gonna happen. Or like it's just like this hyper overdrive. I don't know.
Yeah, this like sense of urgency that like,
Yeah,
like if you don't do this, then it's not coming, it's like,
right.
yeah, that's not a great feeling.
No, it's not. And I mean, that's a square, it's a conflict, or it's like a feeling of just like if you do make a change, the change happens so fast that like you weren't expecting. It's almost like you're trying to hold on to like a rope, but all of a sudden, or like a leash to the dog, but all of a sudden the dog sees like a squirrel and like pulls you out, and then you let go of the leash. And that's like you're on a square, and the new moon is like, oh shit, I was not preparing to like drop everything and have to like go chase this dog now.
Yeah, and
You
I think
know?
that, yeah, and I think honestly the Virgo energy is going to hate that because,
Yeah.
Virgo energy like thrives off of like organization and predictability and like control in some way. It really likes to have control, and that's why it like organizes and puts things in its place so that it can feel like it has control over its environment. And bringing Uranus into it is going to just remind and humble that Virgo energy, I think, and be like, oh, no, no. Don't get too carried away. Like, remember that the universe is the universe, and we're going to like just be crazy
Yeah.
sometimes, and you can't predict everything.
Yeah, it is. It's just like a major disruption. It's just a major disruption, either like that accelerates your plans or completely throws it off path in some way or brings you in new information. Like the information component is going to be big with it being ruled by Mercury. So like maybe you attempt to do something and you just like suddenly get this news that like everything can't be done. And it's like, I don't know. I just think it's interesting. Like in the grander scale, how like Mercury rules both Gemini and Virgo is exalted in Virgo, so it has more favoritism to Virgo, like you said, of
Hmm.
like the control. But they rule both and they inherently square each other. And it's like the two sides of like the mercurial figure, the one that's like hyper organized and critical and detail oriented, and the one that is like the jack of all trades, knows everything, but doesn't know when to shut their mouth. Like,
Yeah, it's so interesting that we do have like those two areas ruled by Mercury, but they do square each other. So it's like the energies don't see eye to eye. And that very much is like, if we look at like Mercury as Gemini, like the twins, it's like those two opposing energies.
yeah, the double-sidedness of everything and the
Mhm.
flip-flopping, the constant flip-flopping of like one opinion to the other versus Virgo is going to really solidify in one belief and like build up support to support that belief. And so, yeah, and Jupiter does the same, Jupiter, Sag, and
Right,
Pisces square each other. So I
right.
always think this is interesting whenever you think about those two planets, how they're kind of both they, I don't know, they both kind of like have issues. Like they have one side that they like and one side they also like, but they conflict.
It is super interesting to think about, actually. It's like the yin and the yang, or like, it's just,
Yeah.
it's like the same thing but different. I don't know.
I don't
Yeah.
know. So maybe, really, maybe the main player this week is really Mercury. And for you, like looking at your Mercury houses, like looking at Gemini and looking at Virgo, especially noticing the Mercury sextiling Mars, what shifts in those houses. And as we enter into Virgo season, like what really starts to change and how they're inherently conflicting with each other.
Yeah, we do have so much going on with Mercury this week. I mean, opposed to like that little couple day break with like just the moon
Right.
interaction. Um, a lot of the larger conversations are about Mercury. So, yeah, it's definitely a major player. And, since it did move direct not too long ago, will it be out of the shadow period by this point? Do you know?
I think next week,
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think it's stationed at like 14. And I'm
Okay.
sure. Yeah. I don't remember. Don't
I don't
quote me.
remember either, to be honest. So, but anyways,
Yeah.
yeah.
But that's this week. So that's the note. We'll end on that new moon's on Saturday, early Saturday morning. You'll feel it Friday. You'll feel it as soon as the sun enters Virgo, honestly.
Yep. Yep. Um, fun times.
We will continue that conversation in eclipse season. So we'll get another new moon in Virgo. So we'll chat about that. We'll see how this goes. But all right, well, if you want more content from us, then just follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Two Girls Talk Transits. And the video versions of these pods are on YouTube at Two Girls Talk Transits as well. So we'll see you then and see you next week.
See you.